Hello YouTube, this is Shirley426 and today we have the review of the P-Bandai exclusive or P-Bandai exclusive SHF Kamen Rider Punkjack in his monster form and beat form set. Now you might be wondering what's with the goofy looking Kamen Rider design. Yes, once again, Kamen Rider designs usually are kind of cool, but at the same time there are times when they do release some very funny or goofy looking designs. Now, usually on my usual taste I would not purchase such design, but once again after looking at the series, I did actually like the character who transforms into this rider. He has a lot more background than I've imagined, so which is why I actually like this character, hence buying his figure. Now this figure is kind of interesting. Unlike most Kamen Rider figures, which usually comes in a single small box like this, your typical, you get one rider, one body. This one actually comes in one of those bigger, larger boxes because it has a lot of components, and as the title implies, this comes with actually not one form but two forms. And if you know Kamen Rider Geats, the whole concept being battle royale, so everybody shares the same bases and has different equipment, basically, and hence this also this guy does use mostly two forms, one being the form you see right now is the monster form, and the other called beat form. Hence it comes with a secondary body, which is why we have this thing over here, which I'll get into later. But anyway, let's get on to the review. So let's go over components really quickly and get rid of the unnecessary stuff, because once again, I have reviewed a few Kamen Rider Geats series figures, like the SHF Kamen Rider Buffa, Kamen Rider Geats in his Magnum Boost form, and his blank form as well. So they all share the same articulation, so let's see what we got. Alright, let me just get this right over here. Alright, so let's go over with the typical stuff. So number one, here we have hands. Now the hands they work the same. They practically are the same, where the ball joint is on the arm and then the holes in the hand. Now the interesting different part is that these hands actually have these weird, how should I say, these parts here. You can see it looks like something's been cut off here. Now that's because in this case, Kamen Rider Monster's form is this form actually comes with these gauntlets. So this is like a punching type weapon, this gauntlet. He's a close combat type weapon, and I wasn't paying too attention to the show or small details, but apparently this thing is supposed to be like, you're supposed to be as a fist, there's these strings or wires connected to the hand, and that's what they did here. So what they're trying to do is then replicate that, but instead of actually making them into wire hands, give me a moment, instead of making them into actual wire hands, which they have done before, they just made it an illusion where like this, so that you don't have to struggle every time you swap out hands, because there are certain figures where it is a very big hassle to swap out hands. So once again, that this is kind of unique to this figure as far as I know. And I dropped the hand as usual. So hand wise, other than the fist hands, you get these fully open hands, nothing too special there. You get these semi-pointing hands as well, no big deal. And then we get these semi-open hands as well. So that's that. And believe it or not, I will be doing some comparisons, or not comparisons, but I will be showing some demonstrations regarding what combos you can have if you have the blank form and this form as well. Now I do have Buffa and then Geats, but I'm not going to show every single form out there because it's going to take a long time to show every combination possible. So that's that. So you got to use your imagination. Alright, so regarding that, if you have the blank form, and if you want to have the blank form of this guy, it does come with the gray visor color and the mouthpiece, so that's pretty good. And then if you want Geats to equip the monster form, it actually comes with the blue visor for the head and the mouthpiece. So this is actually dedicated for Geats, so that's kind of interesting. So yeah, it is possible to do that. And here on the other side is the stuff which I wasn't expecting, or I didn't expect this to be released like this. Now, I would like to mention there is a female rider variant as well, but this will not be compatible as far as I understood, because the female body form is slightly different in terms of size and proportions. So this one, you could say, is for the male variant as well. If I'm wrong, do let me know in the comments, because I rarely buy female riders, so yeah. And if it wasn't obvious, in this battle royale, everybody saves the base form, like Kamen Rider Geats blank form like this, and then depending on what you slap on the belt, you get different equipment. So as you can see, Geats is based on the fox, Buffalo being a buffalo, this guy is obviously a bear, which and this helmet design was, I think, one of the most used designs in the series, because there are also main characters and non-main characters. Non-main characters always die out pretty quickly, and there were a few variants in this style. All right, so for the beat form, you actually get the part for the belt. You get this part as well, the beat buckle. So based on music and musical concept. And this is the entire top body here. So yeah, you all get the stuff, and it still shares all the same articulation here and there. Shoulder moves pretty well as well, although because the armor is attached to the main shoulder, not the main body as well. And you also have all the detach points, so depending on which rider you're slapping this on, you can always swap out parts. Like Geats having the scarf on his back, this guy having the cape, and you know the drill from there. So well done. Alright, and then for the main weapon, this comes with an actual guitar. Although in the series there are times where they use this like an axe, but not too often. And then other than that, they all use it for the music type, you know, like sonic boom like type attacks as well. So from there, you can kind of get the idea as well. Oh, that was close. Give me a moment. There we go. And once again, if you want to slap the beat form onto Geats, they actually give you these parts, the mouthpiece and the visor. So yeah, they really went all out for Kamen Rider Geats. Then again, in the main series, Kamen Rider Geats is pretty much the only rider that does, I believe, use all forms, as far as I understood. And once again, if you want, for Punkjack himself, it does also come with the mouthpiece and the visor for Punkjack himself. So well done. And hand-wise, as you may have saw on the main body, let me just grab this guy. This thing is using pretty much the semi-open hands as well. And then here we get some neutral holding hands as well. So if you want to hold the guitar, or at least the neck of the guitar, you can use those hands as well. Alright, so let's just quickly check articulation, because I'm not going to show in too detail, because once again, I've reviewed a few figures and they all share the same format, so the articulation should be the same. Alright, so let's start with the head. Now, despite the head being gigantically large, it doesn't really matter, because it's only the top section, but it's only the top section that looks big, because but that does not really affect the neck, does it? So the neck is on its own, so you still have the same range of movement as well as 360 if you want to do so, but keep in mind human inside. And if you're wondering, is there the control device inside the head, the answer is no. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, there was an episode where there's this other evil, not exactly evil, but like a, let's just say like a more higher up character kind of guy shows up and tries to take control of him. They slap some sort of helmet on him. And later it goes actually inside this helmet. So yeah, and that does not exist here. There is a figure that actually sells those parts. Now for the arms, once again, your standard articulation going on here as well. And the armor is attached to the arm or the shoulder itself. Now the main reason why I keep mentioning these parts is because there are figures where these shoulder armors are actually connected to the main body, and that could become a very big hindrance to the arm articulation as well. And here you might be wondering, how the hell are you supposed to swap out hands if it's like this? Well, the good news is that this guy doesn't use any weapons, handhold weapons, so there's not much really used to swap out hands. But if you want to, number one, you actually need to detach the gauntlet itself. How do you detach that? You need to separate them into two pieces like this. You separate these in two pieces, and then you can now do your standard procedure of swapping out the hands, where the hand, you know, the ball joint is on the arm. So that's how you swap it out. As well, although do be careful when you're detaching these, because this part, no big deal, but you can see there are those pegs, and for those who are into Gunpla, you definitely know these are the perfect type of pegs where you can accidentally snap off while detaching. So do be careful as well. Now the cape. Now recently, SHF Kamen Rider has become notorious for having very terrible capes, and if they even do get the cape looking right, they are extremely heavy. There's a certain reason why I haven't reviewed certain figures with capes, because it is impossible to make them stand. In this case, this is a very smaller cape. If this also went all the way down, yeah, I may not have reviewed this because there was no way to make this guy stand. But yeah, the cape works pretty well. This is not cloth. This is actually made out of rubber, a flexible rubber, no big deal. And this is like the unique part for this specific character. Each rider, or at least main character type riders, have like a unique trait like this on their even on their base form, like Geats having this scarf, and then Buffa having the teared off cloth on his waist. This guy having a orange cape here. So if you actually take this part off, you actually take off the cape part together. So this is a single piece. So you gotta swap this part out with other body parts if you want to do so. Okay, so let me re-slap that on. And then for the monster buckle, so once again, it looks pretty good. They did a pretty good job on the details here. Now you don't slide this in the show. You would slide this in. In this case, there's a peg here, so you just need to plug it in, and you're good to go. And they did a pretty good job with the ID core chip as well. Definitely looks like the same bear we've seen in the show, and rotating part works okay as well. So no big deal. And if you want to, you can always store these parts, these buckles onto. I forgot if it was this thing has to go top side or bottom side, but yeah, these holsters actually work. So I'm really glad that they're doing these as well, because back then these holsters were kind of useless to some degree. Alright, now for the legs, they still have the same articulation, no big deal, same structure as well, so no changes there. Alright, so now we've seen the basics of the figure, so I think I'll be right back with the demonstration of with the beat form on Punkjack and then the monster form on Geats. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the formation swapped. So number one, Punkjack is now using the beat form as well. Now the beat form, once again, it works pretty well. The only tricky part is that when it comes to holding the guitar, you're only holding it with one hand, with the grip hand on the neck, because there's technically no way to actually hold the guitar on the bottom, the axe section. So this is the blade. There are a few characters who actually does use this as a close combat weapon after like using their elemental effects going on here. So yeah, and even if it were to be a real guitar, usually, as far as I know, I never played a guitar, but guitars always have the strap that you put on your neck so that you always have like a basic grip, a stable grip. In this case, no strap, so you're gonna be always constantly holding the guitar here as well. So yeah, while there is another grip for the hand on the right hand, but okay, let's say you were holding a guitar here, where the other place I can only imagine to hold is maybe the bottom section where the hand is like covering the bottom. But once again, that's gonna be tricky, because mostly it's just gonna be a little bit awkward to reach from there as well. And then once again, if you do actually play guitars and know how to do some certain guitar poses, you can I assume you could do some really sick guitar poses as well, like a power slide or whatever. And that's that. And when it comes to Geats, works perfectly fine, fits like perfectly, because once again, same base format of the figures as well. Of course, compared to Punkjack, now Geats looks much buffer than his typical forms, because Geats is mostly always like, when it comes to he's more like a speedy type, if you personally, if I wanted to think. But once again, it does work perfectly. It does slightly look beefier, but looks pretty cool as well, especially with the additional the right color eye colors and then the mouthpieces as well. Of course, keep in mind that you do need to swap out these parts, the scarf and this white piece over here, because that's his like signature like design here as well. And same goes for Punkjack, being the cape being that as well. All right, so there's only one thing left to show, and that is to apply beat form onto Kamen Rider Geats, and then the base form or the blank form onto Punkjack. Now keep in mind, there are multiple combinations that you could do. For example, if you like I said before, if you actually own this one, you can slap on each to either of these parts to the for the boost leg parts, and then for the magnum parts you can slap them all onto the top section as well. Or if you have Buffa, you can use also his zombie parts, although you won't be able to utilize zombie with these parts, because once again, you could attach the body and everything. The only part you'll be missing will be the eye colors as well, because they all use different specific shapes. So yeah, but just because Geats has it, it's not going to fit here as well, because the whole structure is slightly different. So yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, here is the final demonstration here. So now Geats now has the beat form, and now Punkjack is now in its blank form. So once again, Punkjack actually does come with his blank eyes or blank forms visor, and with for the mouthpiece as well. So you should have no problems applying the pieces here. Just make sure that you apply the cape as well, because this is also a unique part to him as well. And there's not much to talk about in this form, because this form doesn't actually, this is like the entry form where you start the battle royale. They will start in this form, and if you have any buckles, that's when they use it to gear themselves up. In this form, it's pretty much the weakest form. Granted, you could pretty much beat up someone, but that's not going to be easy as well. So that's that. And then now Geats. Now, as I mentioned before, holding the guitar is definitely tricky, because once I'm actually kind of relying on this part of holding here as well, but because it's technically only one hand or one grip holding the neck area, it's eventually gonna droop down if you don't do something about that as well. So that's sad. Because as far as I know, once again, guitars have a neck strap. This one doesn't. But once again, they did a pretty good job on this, and I'm pretty satisfied with how it looks. And this is actually a pretty good deal where you get not only Punkjack's, his monster form, but also the parts for the beat form. If you wanted to have the male parts for this form, this is as far as I know, is the only way to get it so far, because the one that released recently was the female rider. A lot of people have been telling me that it is not compatible with the male forms, because I'm assuming obviously for size and proportion reasons as well. Anyway, thanks for watching the review. This was the review of the P-Bandai exclusive SHF Kamen Rider Punkjack. Now, I didn't buy any Kamen Rider Geats upgrade form like Boost Mark 5 was it, and his laser form, because I'm not a big fan of that design. But maybe if Mark 9, maybe I'll probably get that, and if I can, I'll try to look for the Tycoon as well, if possible. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was a review of the P-Bandai exclusive SHF Kamen Rider Punkjack in its monster form and beat form set. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews on, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.